This show is supported by Twin Cities Eye Consultants. If you're watching the match, checking stats, and following social media all at once, your eyes are working overtime. Give them support at tcecmn.com. Welcome in, Loons fans, to another edition of the Matchday Preview presented by Twin Cities Eye Consultants. Jonathan Harrison here, joined once again by Manny Lagos. Manny, we've got a busy day, a packed show today. We're going to recap 2 Leagues Cup games. We're going to preview a couple of MLS games. And then we're obviously, because of our guests, we're just going to throw all that out the window because our guest, Jon Marthaler, today likes to just cause chaos. And I'm ready for this episode, Manny.
Very ready for it. Excited, particularly because this guy's been writing really well. Some great analysis. Finally, some positive analysis to write about, which is exciting to talk about as well. And we're back at it. You know, I think we had a very interesting Leagues Cup run where we obviously did not get the results to get out of the group. But I think we learned a lot, and I hope we're hungry because this 3-game stretch we're going into is massively important, I think, to get back on track for making the playoffs and playing well going into the playoffs.
Yeah, looking forward to this discussion coming up. As we mentioned, Jon Marthaler of the self-titled JonMarthaler.com joining us. Go subscribe to his website if you want more in-depth analysis. Do follow local and read local media coverage. It does help every bit you can. John, how are you doing today? We've got plenty to discuss here, and we'll get to the new old player signing here in a little bit. But how are you?
Not too bad. I should take this time to apologize to Evan and Grace and Kyle, who they do so much work to put together like an episode guide and a rundown. And then you just got me who talks about whatever he wants and wants to talk about the Vikings from 1986. And, you know, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry to everyone and to the listeners. I want to apologize for being who I am.
I mean, we'll get to Metrodome Vikings. That's a good era.
That's right.
Vikings. Yeah.
We'll get to the cruise ship thing that you texted me about in a second. But Manny, I do want to get your thoughts on the news that came out today. AZ Jackson back with the club after going here, there, and just about everywhere across MLS and the globe. Back on a loan, but there is a deal. There's a permanent buy clause in that loan deal. But through the rest of the season, AZ Jackson back with the club. Your thoughts on bringing back one of the former MNUFC 2 players into the first team now?
Yeah, I mean, and obviously it's years since he's been here, but I think there's been some good synergy between AZ and Cam, who used to coach our second team, and certainly AZ kind of jumpstart his career here. So I'm kind of excited about having him come back. I do think that this transfer window is not done for the team, but certainly trying to get somebody across the line that addresses our balance of offense and defense and how we're going to have guys in the field that are hungry to create chances. And a player that's kind of had some really great moments since he's left. Then he's also had a little bit of moments where he's still finding his way in terms of his professional journey and impact. And so I think the timing and the risk of this signing and the belief on both sides that there's hunger to get value out of it is super exciting. I mean, he's a great young kid. He's got great talent. And it's somebody who I think we know well. Sneakily, I think this is an incredibly important signing for the team, and it's an incredibly important signing for the player as well at the time and place in his career. So well done by the backroom staff, and excited to welcome back.
John, just 24 years old is AZ Jackson, coming back to MLS after a stint with Vancouver earlier this season, has had stints with Columbus and St. Louis City. Your thoughts on how he fits into this club and what you expect to see from a guy who's got, looking at his stats on FBref, 78 career MLS appearances, 6 goals, 8 assists throughout his MLS career.
I mean, first of all, you have to say that AZ Jackson is the second best MLS player that is named after a Dutch soccer team, right behind go-ahead Eagles Johnson, who scored 15 goals for the Kansas City Wizards in the 90s. Also, it feels like sort of undoing a mistake from the past. I thought it was a mistake when Minnesota sold AZ Jackson originally. It kind of felt like they sold high on him, except they sold really low on him. I didn't quite understand the reasoning behind that. It ended up being that it almost turned into a one-to-one trade for Cameron Dunbar. And if you remember Cameron Dunbar being a Minnesota guy, then you're as much of a sicko as I am, I guess is what I'm saying. But it'll be nice to have him back, just because I always sort of felt like the reason that they traded him in the first place was Emmanuel Reynoso was sort of blocking him, which obviously didn't last that much longer after AZ left. So I think it'll be good to have him back, and hopefully they can resume the development where it sort of got cut off right there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do on this club, and considering he's now got plenty of MLS experience under his belt, that will surely help the attack that we've seen kind of get its footing over the last couple days, especially in that Atlanta game that we'll talk about here in a second. But boys, your thoughts on what we've seen so far in Leagues Cup. We'll get to the Minnesota United side of this conversation in a little bit, but a couple of crazy games yesterday. We saw Tigres beat Vancouver after getting a couple of red cards, especially their goalkeeper. They're shoving a referee, which I don't know what he's doing there, but and then
it is Guzman, though. It is
Guzman. The most baffling part to me of that clip is he shoves him, kicks the ball, gets the red card. Then he looks at the referee. What, me? No. Like, dude, you just shoved the referee. What are we doing here? Of course you're going to get a red card for that. I get you weren't looking and didn't see that it was the referee, but you shoved a referee. You're going to get a red card for that easily. Manny, I'll start with you. Your thoughts on what you've seen out of MLS, having some success in the early portions of phase one, still some games to go tonight, but your thoughts on what we've seen out of Leagues Cup so far.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned before, I really hope this competition grows and evolves, because it's still finding its identity, and maybe it's in the wrong time of the year. But when the competition actually happens and these teams and these leagues step on the field, I love the uniqueness and intensity of the games. And again, I really hope it builds into something, because ultimately it does trickle down that these two leagues are trying to grow and compete against each other, but also show that they're the best league in this region. And it comes out in the game. So there's no doubt. I think MLS has had a good showing so far, particularly because we probably have a lot of games at home. Also, I think this is the time of year where their league is just starting, so they kind of have maybe new players to get used to. Having said all that, and the compliments to how well the MLS teams have played, not even sneakily, probably the best team so far is Toluca, still in my mind, from overall performance, in terms of their two. Was it their 3 games? Or have they got 2 games?
Yeah, they're 3 games.
They're 3 games. They got 3 wins, right? I believe
2 wins, 1 loss.
1 loss. Okay, I think they've played some of the best soccer. They should get through at 6 points, because at that side of the table, 6 points could get you through. I think they've probably played the best soccer overall. But yeah, I've enjoyed some of the games. Even putting on that Chivas Seattle game last night, and seeing that mixed crowd of a lot of Chivas fans amongst a lot of Seattle fans, I really enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, the big turnouts for the Mexican teams here in the U.S. stadiums has been fun to see, because obviously it shows how big Liga MX is here in America, John. You look at the standings so far, 4 teams have booked their trips onto the knockout rounds: Columbus, Salt Lake from the MLS side, and then Leon and then Toluca from Liga MX side. Currently in the standings, LAFC and Austin are in the knockout phases, but that could change with games tonight. And then on the Liga MX side, Club America and Cruz Azul are in, but that could also change with just a couple more teams to go with their games. So,
Jonathan, with that, is it Chicago has a chance?
From the
Austin?
MLS side, Chicago, Charlotte, and Portland are the only teams that are not eliminated yet.
Okay.
So those teams could still sneak their way in and past LAFC and Austin. Austin still has a game to go. LAFC have played all 3 of their games. John, your thoughts on what you've seen from this tournament so far?
I'm sure the MLS league office is absolutely loving that. On the one side, you got Club America and Cruz Azul, and on the other side, Columbus and Salt Lake, all of the heavyweights. Let's go. That is absolutely appointment viewing for not only American soccer fans, but soccer fans around the globe. Real Salt Lake. into the knockout round. And
Well, there's their bulletin board material for this weekend.
It's just it's difficult. It's difficult from a league like MLS that so prizes parity when you get into these things where it's like, well, we really want the big names through, but it's gonna be Columbus and Salted. Not that those are bad teams. Those are good teams. This is what's going to happen, though. It's like the NHL playoffs when you got all of the teams that are well known. You get down to the end, and it's like, how is this Florida and Las Vegas again this year? Why can't we have a team where water freezes naturally for once?
John's old school.
I'm all for it, though. I like the parody. I like our parody.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that's not valuable. We're not getting into the parity argument. I'm just saying that at the MLS league office is, really having to take a couple of drinks and be like, yeah, we're ready to promote this right now.
Manny, for you, when you see the likes of Columbus and Salt Lake already qualified for the knockout stages, and then Austin's up there as well, potentially finding themselves through to the knockout stage, and you see the big boys like Miami, you see the big cities like New York already out of this tournament. San Diego is already out. They've had a down season after a fantastic first season. When you see kind of how MLS is breaking out in their standings in this, what does that say to you about the growth of this league and how this league is competed in this tournament against some of the best teams in Mexico?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the first thing you have to remember is it's a very unique situation where there's no room for error. Like there's no game that you can lose and then still maybe try to sneak through. So you've got to start strong, and really you've got to be aware that even some of our big teams in MLS, it's tough when you play against the big teams in Mexico. And I think we're doing really pretty well against a lot of the teams in a lot of areas. But ultimately, if you want to be in the top 4 on the MLS side, you really cannot, get a loss, essentially. And so you've got to start strong. And credit to Columbus and Real Salt Lake. I mean, they've both their games to start, they were outstanding. And they made sure they got the points early to stay in it for that third game. It gave them momentum. And so the team's a little bit like Minnesota, a very tough first game where you lose. It's really hard to kind of, it's impossible to get back in the tournament if you lose, essentially. I mean, I guess mathematically there's a way. But particularly this year with how many teams in MLS did so well early on, it wasn't there. So I think the uniqueness is that this tournament is about you really getting 3 wins. And now it looks like maybe 2 wins and a shootout win will get there for some teams. But you can't slip up early or expect to go through.
Manny, when you look back at this, how this phase 1 has played out, which MLS team do you think helped themselves out going into the second half of the schedule when we're going to pick it up this weekend?
Oh, that's a good question. I still think I still think all teams should be helping themselves by like kind of exposing their strengths and weaknesses. I go to Minnesota United. I think this is an incredibly beneficial time for us to take a deep breath, see some of the strengths of our team, see some of the weaknesses that we've been playing lately, and try to sort out how are we going to approach particularly these next 3 games. So I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. Is it better that you're exposing your weaknesses so that those going into this back stretch for the year, or is it better that you just played so well in Leagues Cup and now you've just got all this confidence and you're brewing? I think both can be true. I honestly think the only way it works for the MLS teams who are now getting ready for this massive run of games is that they know their strengths and weaknesses and they're ready to kind of make a fight for the playoffs.
John, is it surprising to you when you see this phase 1, you see the likes of Vancouver, Miami, and Nashville, 3 of arguably the best teams in the league, they struggled as much as they did in this tournament? Obviously, Miami, extenuating circumstances with Messi's long absence after the World Cup, but elsewhere, Nashville and Vancouver really struggled. I know Vancouver were dealing with some transfers out. That certainly changed the way.
Also, Vancouver might have been struggling more than we realize. If you look, they've been winless in a long time now. That might be separate from Nashville and Miami, actually, when you look at that.
John?
It's sad when you're like, Vancouver might have been struggling for a while. They didn't even beat Minnesota, man. How? I don't know if that's where you're going with that, Manny, but...
I mean, I think their win list is like 8 or 9 now. Like, if you go back a little bit. I don't think that... Yeah,
I think Sebastian Berhalter might be about to win the MVP award by leaving. Wow. Apparently this guy was not only the best player in the league, but maybe the best player in league history.
John, John, is it surprising those teams have struggled as much as they have far in this tournament?
Vancouver, I was kind of shocked by, because my
They didn't
sense
get a
of
win.
my sense of Vancouver was like, oh, well, they just have a lot of depth and they play so well as a team that it doesn't matter if they lose 11 guys. They'll still somehow find a way to win. And
by the way, at home, all three of their games are at home as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Clearly not true for Vancouver. Miami didn't surprise me at all, with everything that's going on with Messi losing his dad and stuff, that anything that happens with Miami for the rest of the season, it'll be like, well, I guess that makes perfect sense. But Nashville too, I think Nashville is one of those weird teams where you look and they're a really good team, but for some reason it's just because they're Nashville and because Hani Mukhtar is the star, but not like a household name. Anytime they do anything, it's like, yeah, this is kind of what I expected from Nashville. I guess I didn't expect them to be as good as they are. And that would be true if they won the rest of their games and won MLS Cup. I would still kind of feel like, well, that was sort of surprised that Nashville was as good as their results have indicated.
Build the season of your dreams with the Pick 3 pack. Create your own mini ticket plan with 3 or more home games starting at just $93. More information at MNUFC.com/tickets. It's 6 in a row, 6 winless for Vancouver, Manny.
Thank you. Okay. I said 7, so I was close.
We got to look at what's going on in the Pacific Northwest. Something has gone wrong for soccer. And
suddenly Portland can't stop winning and beating teams by a lot. And then Vancouver and Seattle just can't find a win lately.
Somehow Phil Neville getting fired made the rest of the teams worse too. I don't know. I don't know how it's possible, but it not only fixed everything that was wrong with Portland, but it made Seattle and Vancouver terrible.
There was a curse involved in it. Yeah.
Yes,
Sebastian Berhalter leaving cursed Vancouver, and then Phil Neville leaving, getting fired. Uncursed Portland apparently through the rest of the season. Let's jump into the Minnesota United portion of this game. I'll just combine both of these games. Boys, Tigres a 0-0 draw in regulation, losing in penalties 4-2. But then on Tuesday night, Minnesota United 3, Atlante 1. A come from behind win for the Loons, 3 goals in the second half. A fun second half at that, where the offense finally put the ball in the back of the net and did it really confidently, Manny. This was a fun performance on Tuesday night. Overall, I think both of these games, there's a lot to, I know you didn't get the win and you struggled to find the goal in the game against Tigres, but that's one of the better teams in Liga MX in this hemisphere. I know they've struggled this early in the season, but overall, going toe to toe with Tigres, I think you gave a good account of yourself in that one, and then followed up Tuesday night with a really good performance in finding the win.
Yeah, but I don't think I'm going to combine them like it was built up of 2 really good games. I think what I would say is I thought we stepped on the field and had a really good game against Tigres in terms of being organized, structured, creating chances, playing good defense, playing against a good team that also was trying to show their fans that they've been a little bit down in terms of their levels. So I think it was a really good soccer game, and I thought we played 2 good halves in terms of competing and expected goals. I think we outbeat them. We should have scored. We missed a PK. We missed some really good chances. We missed the shot at the end. But I think there was a negativity in terms of like not getting that shootout win, and it felt like, we're still not figuring out how to walk off the field with quote unquote 3 points or a win. And I think it carried over to the Atlante, because I thought the first half was really a really poor half for us. I thought we switched our lineup around. We wanted to give some young guys chances. We just needed to get some blowout and say, hey, let's get going here. And I thought it was tough, because psychologically it's hard to find ways to win when you keep on finding ways to lose. And I think at halftime you're like, oof, we are still in the thick of it. And what I was really proud of is that a nice flip happened. And it wasn't just the goals and coming back for the 3-1 win. I thought we started to play better. We started to win balls in good spot. We started to get some nice waves of attacks. And then obviously we had some individual brilliance offensively, which we hadn't had in a long time. And it just switched it around in a nice way, where both games now look like that we're on this path of getting ready for a tough stretch in the MLS games. And I just love the goals. I love the second half. I love that, we didn't have a good first half, went in the locker room and said, guys, we can do better. Let's commit to getting after Lamore, better defensively, better in the middle of the field of winning 50-50 battles. And then some of our guys that needed to showed up in the second half offensively, which we hadn't felt at Allianz Field for a while. So certainly some nice taste off of, 4 straight games at home where we didn't get a win. Walking off the field, ending Leagues Cup, I think hopefully learning a lot about where those 3 games were and what we need to do better in the league.
John, your thoughts off these 2 games where obviously going toe-to-toe with Tigres stands by itself, and then the first half, against Atlante, left a lot to be desired, but that second half gave you a nice springboard into the second half of the season here.
Yeah, I mean, technically that third game didn't matter in the stand. That's sort of the downside of the current Leagues Cup format, is that you can get a lot of those sort of third game, this doesn't matter for either team in the standings, although Atlante did still have a chance of going through. But if for no other reason, it was important, that third game, if for no other reason than meaning that jerks like me now have to write that Minnesota United is on a 1-game winning streak and has a 2-game unbeaten streak, you know what I mean? Because every one of us that is writing about this and talking about this, it kept writing, it's 8 games and with winless, 9 games winless. They've won 2 out of whatever. They haven't won a home game in nearly 4 months, et cetera. So
it's only 1 loss in their last 5. I'll just point that out.
Flip it. Let's go.
See, that's the positivity. Is just Jonathan's positivity is what keeps the rest of us alive in times like this. So I think it was an important result. I think it was important for them to see the ball go into the net in situations where maybe you wouldn't expect it to go into the net, because they really, even in the first half of that game, it was situations where it's like, how did that stay out? How did that miss everything? What is happening? There's a curse on this team. I talk a lot about curses all of a sudden. I don't know what about the summer of 2026 is making it the first summer, but.
Manny, for you, what was the key for the offense coming alive in the second half against Atlanta? I know that's obviously the big kind of talking point out of that one. Joaquin Pereira just kind of dominating and taking over. But obviously it's not just down to one player, even if he is as good as Joaquin Pereira showed on the night. What for you changed for the Loons in that second half on Tuesday night?
Yeah, I just felt like I think I mentioned it when I was talking before. I felt that we started to win some battles and 50-50 battles, and again, it's a game where you're down at halftime and you're not only not solving problems, but you're allowing them extended periods of possession. You're allowing them to counterattack a few times. I don't know if you remember, even Alex Schmier late in that first half had a really good kick save, and the rebound almost got a chance. Like Chandler cleared it, but that just winning those balls then now creates some spaces where we can get some good counterattacks and we can build into getting numbers forward, and guys can say, hey, I like going forward. I like loading the line. I like getting in the box. Something like Gonzalez, who worked a lot in the first half, and he had a great chance. Obviously, when I say we played poor in the first half, I got to remember that first 10, 12 minutes we were really good. By the way, we had some really good chances, and we probably should have been up 1-0. But again, the reality is when you're fighting it and you don't convert those chances, we're seemingly seem to drop our head quite a bit lately because it's really hard, and you're like, oh my gosh, here we go again. But that second half, I really just liked in the middle of the field how we were closing down, making it uncomfortable for them. They started giving away bad balls and bad ways in terms of like showing that they're not quite the team that they want to be right now. And then we just those waves of chances. And then finally, I think Joaquin, getting in an advanced position, running the channel a couple times was great to see, because lately, when we've been down a goal, he's tended to drop back and collect the ball deep. And I think more people would like him to be higher up the field than do what he just did. And what a great ball by Duncan, great move by Joaquin to burn the guy in the initial touch. And then the end line composure and just how poetically he gets that in one move, like just dances around and then passes the ball to Gonzalez for the goal. It was just a beautiful goal. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's Leagues Cup, MLS. That was just a gorgeous run and a gorgeous play by Joaquin.
John, you wrote about Joaquin's performance over on your website, over on your newsletter. How important was this for him to have this kind of a game, this kind of a second half, really, going into the second half of this season? when you're going to need him to kind of drive this offense. How important was that performance for him to kind of build up the confidence and build up the momentum going forward?
Yeah, I kind of thought in a lot of ways, we've talked a lot on this podcast about what the Loons are sort of missing. And I feel like that sort of demonstrated, it just sort of showed you like, oh, yeah, that's what's missing. It's missing a guy like Pereira being the best guy on the field, that he's going to set up one and he's going to score one and he's going to finish one. And that kind of performance where you look around and go, yeah, that's the kind of performance you need from Joaquin Pereira. And you need a performance like that from Kelvin Yeboah, where they're not only solid and they're not only, oh, good, and they created some stuff and they had a 6 out of 10 game. You need those 8 out of 10 games, 9 out of 10 games out of the guys who are supposed to be your best players. And I think when we talk about what Minnesota needs to do to keep this going or to get the offense on track, sometimes the answer is you just need your best players to be your best players.
Manny, coming out of this tournament, I know there was a lot of rotation throughout these 3 games due to just the quick turnaround nature of these games. Coming out of this tournament, who made the best case for you? Just give me one player, and then John, I'll send the question to you. Give me one player for you, Manny, who made the best case for more minutes going forward.
I think it's got to be Caldera. I just think that you're trying to think about different ways to solve problems getting forward and getting chances, and guys who maybe are hungry, who haven't got a lot of minutes, and a lot of our fans don't know, but he's scored a lot of goals in the second team. He's a very different player than Yeboah and Momo Jiang. Like he's a little bit more of a hold-up connector, good movement guy. And he came into the game when we got a goal back, so we're 1-1. But he just elevated the connection between Tomas and Joaquin in a way that I haven't seen enough of this year from Momo and or Kelvin Yeboah. And I think that planting a seed about having more guys who contribute offensively is super important, because that's really our biggest problem solving now is how are we going to balance a pretty good defensive year with a really down offensive year? And there's opportunity out there, and he took it. Like, I just think that there's a seed planted now where this is a guy who's going to come in and create chances and in a different way than Momo and Kelvin do.
For me, it was the unselfishness of that last pass to Joaquin on that goal, where instead of kind of making another touch or taking another touch and firing off a shot at kind of a rough angle, he realized that Joaquin Pereira is there with a ton of space in front of him. And instead of taking the shot for himself and potentially getting his first goal with the first team, he passes it off for the star of the team, realizing that, hey, another goal is going to help us out a lot more than maybe just an errant shot by me. And
no, I would agree, John. I think a debatable one would be just how he curled his run to make sure he stayed on side too. Yep. I mean, that's a forward movement right there where you actually are aware of that. I mean, it's over your left shoulder and it's the left outside back that's cheating and not getting the line straight for Adelante. And he understands that. And so he didn't just say, hey, Chonkalai passed me. He actually curled back and then forward, which is a very high level kind of forward movement.
Yeah, scoring 10 goals so far in 1,300 minutes in MLS Next Pro this season. Caldera certainly gave a good representation of himself. And certainly, I know in the fans' minds, a lot of them coming out of that game were like, we need to see more of this guy on the first team based off his performances. John, for you, who made a good account of themselves and who made a good case for more minutes going towards the second half of league play here?
First of all, it would be great if Caldera came through, just because it could sort of start to cement, what's Minnesota United's identity? They're great at the super draft. They're better at the super draft than anybody else. Philadelphia is trading all their draft picks for 40 years or whatever they did. Not Minnesota. They're going to draft guys out of the super draft.
They're going to keep finding stars in the super draft when no one else cares about the super draft. It's
of NCAA soccer, baby. Here we go. I will say there was one interesting thing in that Atlanta game, which was Julian Gressel playing in the center midfield. Okay.
I liked it.
I'm not saying he even had the best game, but it's certainly a place where Minnesota needs some flexibility and needs some guys to fill in right now. And it might even be the best spot for Julian Gressel at this point in his career. So I think that could be an interesting one just to sort of keep an eye on to see, is this something we see more? Is this a guy who can add something a little more going forward. If you've got guys who maybe are better defensive, like Will Trapper and Jen in there, if Nectarius Triantis can ever get healthy again. Until then, having a guy like Gressel, who's been a 45-year veteran of the league or whatever, would be nice to have him in the center there.
At Target, we're ready to cheer with the hometown fans and gear you up for an epic season. Whether watching from the stands or your living room, score big on game day with everything you need for the win. We're here to be your home field advantage at Target and Target.com. Speaking of another college soccer guy, Julian Gressel. But yeah, Manny, I was going to point him out because we talked about it last week, the need for kind of more of an offensive-minded midfielder in that Loons midfield, besides Will Trapp and Owen Jen there with Nectarius Triantis out. And I know there was some defensive mistakes and probably the lack of a stronger clearance led to that first goal by Atlante. But overall, I thought his passing from deeper in that midfield really kind of opened up things for the Loons in the attack on the night. And I think that's an interesting option going forward in the midfield for Cameron Knowles going forward. Yeah, I mean, I think Jon just kind of mentioned, we just need some spark and different stuff. I thought it picked up when Owen Jen went in that second half. And, Will Travis had some great games. It seemed like Julian and Owen were a little bit more adventurous because we started to get a little more confidence and guys got forward. So I don't think that's nowhere near on Will, but I think it helped bring out Julian a little bit more later in that second half in terms of he still stayed deep, but he started to spray the ball a little bit more. So the other guy I kind of wanted to give a shout out to, obviously Gonzalez worked really hard in the first half, had the great chance. I don't think it was as impactful after that chance, but then the second half, I just love how he got in the box multiple times and created some great chaos. He obviously had the chaos creation for almost us tying up against Juarez and almost the chance against Tigres at the end. So I really like his kind of physicality in terms of trying to get forward and almost like a bowling ball sometimes. And I wanted to put a shout out to one of my favorite, Carlos Harvey had a great second half. He looked outstanding. So he's had 2 games at center right back, where I think he's looked like he's getting back to his form that he had with us last year, which is really exciting too, because again, I think just we need more numbers. He could probably go in the midfield a little bit more. Again, without Triantis there, we do get thin in that middle of the field as well. Yeah, Gonzalez would have been my pick in this one, but Harvey's also an excellent shout. Gonzalez had a fun tournament where he kind of displayed the raw athleticism that he has, and hopefully we can see more of that going into the future. All right, that leads us, unless you guys have any other things you want to bring up from I do have one more thing, and I think you guys will appreciate this. So we were robbed a little bit in that game because I don't know if a lot of our fans know, but Miguel Piojo Herrera is the head coach of Atlante, who got a red card. Obviously, very famous Mexican national teams and great battles with the U.S. He's also known for choking, somebody in an airport once.
He's a total lunatic. Just go ahead and say it. He's a total lunatic.
He was in the suite, so he was at Allianz Field, but we just didn't get his sideline antics. And I felt we were robbed a little bit of that fun enjoyment. No, but that walkie-talkie certainly got a workout during the night.
The first time the camera cut to him, he was on the walkie-talkie, and he just pulled out his cell phone like he was checking Twitter or whatever. This is the experience.
He pulled out the phone like someone had just texted him, "Hey, buddy, you're on TV. Do something."
We've got to find a way. I don't know how this is possible. I'm actually not even sure if it's happened in the past. But if Nahuel Guzman could be the goalkeeper for a team that El Piojo is coaching, that'd be perfect. That's exactly what I want out of a Mexican soccer team.
That would be sheer chaos. That would be
sheer chaos.
It would be fun, but be sheer chaos. All right, let's jump into Real Salt Lake. This one sets up for an interesting one because, as we mentioned earlier, Real Salt Lake have already qualified for the knockout rounds in Leagues Cup, and that'll be certainly something that they want to try and go as far as they can. I don't really know off the top of my head when those knockout round games would begin. I would assume next week. But Real Salt Lake coming in, or we're going out to Real Salt Lake. Obviously, some playoff history out there. When you look at this game, Manny, off the top of your head, the things that you're looking forward to in this one, what are the key things for Minnesota in this one? Obviously, the big news around them, Xavier Gozo looks like he's solidifying a move to Crystal Palace, so that'll be a big loss for them because he's been playing well for them this season. Don't imagine he'll be playing for them this weekend, considering he's on the verge of a move to a Premier League side. Overall, though, your thoughts on what to expect out of Real Salt Lake this weekend?
I mean, it's going to be a great battle for us. It's right into the thick of it in terms of adversity, and we almost have to embrace how good we were on the road for most of the first half of the season, and kind of block out the Kansas City game along with that Vancouver game, and get ready for a tough game, and to see if we're ready and hungry to get back to a level that we were. I think if you really look, probably April is where we were kind of firing on all cylinders, and so. It's a huge one. I mean, they're good on defense. They're good on offense. They're hungry at home. You're playing in altitude. We've got to be good on both sides of the ball. They've got a balanced team. I do think they lose a little bit when they're playing against.
I think he accidentally clicked out there right when he was going to get to his key point there.
He was just about to say what they were going to lose somebody to, and the phone went off. I don't know what these RSL spies are doing, but they took out Manny.
I'm assuming like last week he's filming this off of his phone, so he tried to click the go away on the notification and accidentally clicked on it. And
it's nice. I really like having Manny here because it's nice having someone who's more of an old person than I am that can't work their technology and that just has struggles. I need Manny around to make this happen.
We got to ask him his take on Banana Ball because I know you're not a fan of it. So does he have an even older man take than you on Banana Ball?
Banana Ball is fine. It's fine for what it is. I don't care for Banana Ball because I like baseball. But there's nothing wrong with Banana Ball. It's like the Globetrotters. Everybody loves the Globetrotters. I can't quite understand when the Globetrotters are more popular than basketball.
Well, that's up to Major League Baseball. I would say it's up to them.
That's
Sorry about that, guys.
No, we were just commenting how
we definitely didn't make fun of you at all, Manny. So
we were just commenting how you were going to say what Real Salt Lake are losing, and then you just dropped out and we lost you in the podcast.
There you go. Okay,
we'll hand it right back off to you. I don't think we should edit any of that out, Grace. I think we should absolutely keep that in and just continue on through the madness, through the chaos. Manny, what were you going to say there?
I don't even know where my thoughts were, but no, it's going to be like, I mean, Real Salt Lake is obviously going to have some good energy. I mean, they've got great confidence in the Leagues Cup now. They've looked great at home, competitive. It's a big game. Like I said, they've got a lot of pieces. I think losing Gyozo is a loss, though. I mean, they're going to lose on speed, and in some ways, it reminds me. Was it 2 years ago? They sold Gomez. No, it wasn't. They sold a player for about 10 million 2 years ago, and they kind of dropped off a little bit too. So it'll be interesting to see how this one affects them.
Yeah, this is probably one of the teams that needed a good run in Leagues Cup or out of most MLS teams, because you kind of look at the last 4 games going into this, and that goes back to the final game before the World Cup break. They were winless in their last 4, and then just kind of struggling and sputtering. And the 3 games coming out of the World Cup break, 2 losses and a draw. And they come out of Leagues Cup play looking a lot better. And so this sets up for an interesting one at the weekend, John, where the Loons travel out to Real Salt Lake. Your expectations and kind of what you're looking forward to, what the Loons need to do to come away with 3 points in Utah.
I mean, it's the Diego Luna revenge tour now.
Yeah.
It's bad for MLS that Mauricio Pochettino did not pick him for the U.S. national team, because now it's just time for Diego Luna to make everybody pay. But I mean, Luna is one of those guys that I really, even outside, just like when the Loons are playing, I like watching Luna. He's a fun player to watch. He's a fun style of player. And so having him around is great. Plus, every time the Loons play in Real Salt Lake, it's up in the mountains. It's in only an hour difference in the time zone, but it always feels like the game's taking place at like 1 a.m. It's like MLS After Dark multiplied. And on the bright side, Brian Vera is in Montreal now, so nobody's going to get spit on in this game.
in Montreal where they just signed Alexis Sanchez, Manny? That came out of nowhere.
I know. Very Montreal.
And it's not a different Alexis Sanchez, right? It's still the same one
it's
from
the same
1994 or whatever.
It is the same one. Yes, it is.
I saw that. I was like, well, it must be a different Alexis Sanchez.
I forgot to bring that up earlier in the show because it was just one of those moves like, wait, what? Is that a move that just really happened in this league? Like,
how old am I? What year is it?
Yeah. This is early 2000 Chile golden era.
Yes. And Brian Vera scoring some bangers as well up there in Montreal, going back to before the Leagues Cup. But yeah, this one should be interesting. John, like you, I like watching Diego Luna play. He's got some rumors around him though, but he's still putting in minutes.
No, they can't get rid of Diego Luna. They might as well fold Real Salt Lake if they get rid of Diego Luna. Why
the league cannot allow Diego Luna to leave?
That's right.
Like he's the one connection on the field to Bluey.
We cannot allow Diego Luna to leave the United States of America.
This one sets up for a fun one. We've also, and we'll preview this a little bit earlier next week. We've got a special guest coming on early next week, but man, we do have to mention here, 10-year soccer celebration coming up the following weekend. Loons hosting Atlanta United for the first time since 2018. It's been a while since Atlanta have been here. We obviously know what happened in that first game, but this sets up for a really fun night at Allianz Field in a couple weeks time because of all the famous and former Loons players coming to town. We'll get you that list in a second, but that one should be a really fun night at Allianz Field in a couple weeks time.
Oh my gosh. It's, when we did the Heritage Kit last year, we brought back, some of the past kind of influential players over the decades of the different iterations of the Kicks and Strikers and Thunder and Stars and United. And just for me, I get chills because, it's so cool to see Allianz Field and see these people that come to the stadium and are truly part of that stadium becoming what it is and being honored and how just humble and awesome they are. And then now behind the scenes working on, getting some guys from our past 10 years, along with, we're actually going to celebrate 50 years of pro soccer as well. 1976 is when Minnesota joined the pro soccer world with the Minnesota Kicks. So we're going to have another moment where, you're going to have 40 to 50 guys, pro players that have come to this community or have been from this community, have contributed and stayed here. And then we also are bringing in some of the guys the last 10 years of 10 special years in MLS that it's just surreal. And again, it makes no sense even be on the podcast with you guys and Jonathan talking about one of the best stadiums in North America is right here in St. Paul in the Twin Cities. And then we're going to have this event where everybody should put their chest out. It's amazing. It's surreal. And I get so proud and I'm humbled because these guys now that come back are so honored. They love living here. They love playing for the club. They've made such special connections in the club, outside the club, in the community. It's super cool. And it doesn't happen very often. So it's going to be a very special night for the fans that show up. There's autographs for those 10 guys that are coming for celebrating the 10 years before the game. There'll be a great pregame and halftime celebration as well. And like I said, just to our fan base, it means so much to the past players to sometimes recognize them. It gets me excited for the event.
The players confirmed to be attending, and obviously more may be confirmed as we get closer to the day. It's still over a week away. Bakai Dabasi, Romain Metanere, Ike Opara, Jerome Thiessen, Ozzy Alonso, Colin Martin, Jan Gregush, and Abu Danladi. Looking forward to that, John. That should be a really fun one. I do have a trivia question for both of you guys. I want you guys to put together. It's been since 2018, late in that season, since the last time Atlanta were here playing back at TCF Bank Stadium. Now they haven't come to Allianz Field yet. Who was the starting 11 for the Loons on that day?
What you're talking about?
The first game or 2018?
2018, not the first game. The last time they were here.
Geez. Starting lineup for Atlanta or for Minnesota?
No, for Minnesota.
Well,
it's a 4-2-3-1. I'll give you guys the formation.
It was a super cold night. They got a red card.
Yeah.
We lost
1-0 loss.
We lost 1-0.
Was Bobby Shuttlesworth in goal?
He was not. He was the backup goalkeeper.
I'm sure Miguel Ibarra was starting that day.
Yep.
Christian Ramirez was starting that day.
Nope. He's on the bench. He did come on as a sub.
Ethan Finley, was that 2018?
He started.
Ethan Finley.
He was one of the starters.
Let's see.
Jerome started that day probably.
He did not.
Calvo,
Yep, Calvo started.
Boxel.
Boxy started. Yep.
What are we up to? 4? This is not going that
No,
well.
like
Yeah, you got
five.
4. You got 4.
Five.
Did Dunlady start up front?
Dunlady did. Yep. Let's see here.
Mason Toy?
Yeah, no, later.
No, he was a substitute, second half
He was
substitute.
a substitute. All right.
Yep.
Quintero, did he start?
Not on the team at that.
Not with the team yet.
Oh.
All right,
Yeah, you
go.
got 5
We're taking too long. Who do you got?
That's the point of it. In goal, Matt Lamson. Your back line featured Mark Birch, Francisco Calvo, Michael Boxall, and then Tyrone Mears at right back. Your midfielders, Rasmus Schuler and Ibsen. Man, I'm disappointed.
How did we miss Rasmus Schuler and Ibsen?
I'm disappointed in both of you guys for not getting
production staff. Delete
for
this.
how much
I'm
Manny
so embarrassed right now.
Talks up and
I know, but it's hard for your brain to go to the right exact era.
Yeah,
right away. Like we needed a little bit of just like start talking about the early years to get our brains going a little bit.
We got to go in cold. Your attackers, Sam Nicholson on the left, Ibarra as the number 10, and then Ethan Finley on the right, and Dunlady up top.
Sam Nicholson and Mark Birch in the starting lineup. Now that is some remembering some guys there. Let me tell you.
There was a second yellow card to Leandro Gonzalez Perez in the 38th minute, so he was sent off. And then it was
his 34th and 35th yellow cards that year.
It was an own goal in the 3rd minute by Francisco Calvo. That was the lone separator on the night.
This is the most classic 2018 Minnesota game ever.
Actually, that game was wild. I remember the time wasting by Almiron Atlanta was so bad that started, and I would say globally, I think we went back and it was about 17 minutes of dead time. And this was before they would add like real stoppage time. This was back when stoppage time was still like 2 or 3 minutes max per half. And I think that started the conversation about, we need to start aggregating real stoppage time versus just, the refs get to add a couple minutes on each side. So
no player has been over the past 10 years. No player has been more at the forefront of causing them to make rules to stop him from doing stuff than Miguel Almiron.
I know, it's true. Yeah. I mean, still probably to this day. Yeah.
Becomes the first player ever sent off for covering his mouth on the field.
Yep.
And then,
he just explores the space. He's the Brian Wilson of FIFA rules.
Couple of fun weeks coming up here for the Loons. Obviously looking forward to both these games. Saturday night, Loons at Real Salt Lake, a little bit later of a kickoff for that one, 8:30 p.m. kickoff on Apple TV. Loons, the radio broadcast with Dan Terra and myself, 8 p.m. on 1500 ESPN and Score North. And obviously a couple weeks time, Loons hosting Atlanta United Allianz Field. We'll have a special guest earlier next week to talk all about that one in 10 years of soccer history. Manny, I'll get your opinion. I'll get yours next week. So don't give yours now. But John,
sure.
Since we're talking about this, your favorite memory or favorite moment over the last 10 years of Loons soccer in MLS?
I gotta say it's a choice, and I respect it. I respect the choice to celebrate 10 years of soccer, remembering losing 6-1 to Atlanta at home to start things. Oh, that's do we really want to go about this? Are we inviting Vadim Demidov back, or is he not? Can he come back, or how does this work exactly? My favorite memory, or the
whatever you want. You take it where you want.
The last 10 years.
Which I know is a dangerous prospect for you, John, but take this wherever you want. Your favorite, the standout moment of the last 10 years of Loons soccer in Major League Soccer.
The standout moment. I mean, I'm going to give you the wishy-washy answer and say the shootout against Seattle last year when everybody had lost track of what was normal to happen during a soccer game because everything was happening. That I think, even more than I think the Miami game, is just the one that I'm really going to remember. Partially because I had to file a story 2 seconds after that game ended or whatever. And so, those of us who had print deadlines or whatever, we're having the worst time of anybody in the whole stadium. We were just miserable and everybody else was having a great time. So that, I think, is what I will always remember.
Yeah.
I think, I'm not going to say mine, but I think just bringing up the Quintero chips hat trick is amazing.
Yeah.
Like that was insane.
Yeah,
That
one of
was
the best hat tricks.
against at the time, a team that was dominating the league and just won MLS Cup. So
yeah, absolutely. And this is an Atlanta side that didn't play in Leagues Cup, so they've had the past 2 weeks off. And they're in a bit of a funk themselves. I think it's 8 or 9 straight without a win for them too. So this is an Atlanta side that has certainly changed fortune since those early years of Atlanta when they joined MLS. So it should be a fun one in a couple weeks' time. Jon, greatly appreciate you stopping by. As always, go follow him over on social media as well as subscribe to his newsletter, jonmarthaler.com. Jon, appreciate you stopping by and causing chaos as usual.
I've got a reputation now, and unfortunately, I seem to lean into it now. Again, apologies to the production staff.
Love it. Manny, appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week when we have our special guest earlier in the week. So this podcast will come out a little bit earlier than normal next week as we hype up that game coming up against Atlanta, but we'll talk to you then. Loons fans, appreciate you stopping by. And then thanks to the production staff, Grace Dearson, Kyle Hayward, Evan Entler for putting this on every week. And Loons fans, we'll talk to you next week.